Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, hello. Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk about the characters and creators, and then examine the stories and the art. Okay? This time, I want to delve into the depths of the ocean. And here we will travel with the King of Atlantis. Yes. This is from DC Comics, Aquaman number, what was it, 55 from 1971. Yeah, Aquaman. The King of the Seven Seas. Guy who talks to fish. Well, as we saw in that in the Aquaman movie, he does a lot more than just talk to fish. I don't know, he'd been kind of almost relegated to that. He was a joke for quite a while, especially when they had that TV show Entourage, when the guy played Aquaman in the movie, but it was probably the Super Friends that really almost made fun of Aquaman, because that's about all I ever did, is talk to the fish. But he had there was a popular animated series of Aquaman that I think lasted 2 seasons or so in the mid-60s. That's when I was first introduced to the character. So let's see what the Big Book of Knowledge has to say about Aquaman. This is Aquaman number 55, 1971 DC Comics. Written by Steve Skeets and drawn by Jim Aparo. And the story we're going to look at is The Computer Trap. It's actually the backup story after the main story in this issue. Okay, Steve Skeets, born in 1943. He's a writer, known for work on Aquaman, Hawk and Dove, Thunder Agents, and Plop. A bunch of other stuff. Started as an assistant editor. I've talked about both of these guys before, so we'll just have a real brief synopsis here of them. Lost that job. He started as an assistant editor for Stan Lee, and he lost that job to Roy Thomas. And he wrote westerns for a while. And he did work at Tower, Charlton, and the others, and wrote a lot of stories for Warren magazines. Okay, and Aquaman was created by Paul Norris and Mort Weisinger for More Fun Comics number 773 from 1941. Paul Norris. He later did Jungle Gem comic strip for several years, and a couple decades later he was doing Tarzan and other jungle comics for Gold Key around the same time as this book was published. He's the King of Atlantis. He's half Atlantean and half human. Founding member of the Justice League of America. And he had a bigger impact in the Silver Age than in the Golden Age. And he is better known than Namor the Submariner. I mean, widely. Especially after the Aquaman movie. But of course, everyone who ever saw grew up with Super Friends knew Aquaman. So So that's that for the moment. Okay. Let's delve into the dark depths of the primeval ocean for adventures with Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas. And there, you can get a better look at that, at the cover. Get rid of that glare. Aquaman number 55 with this Nick Carty cover. And this is a pretty worn copy. Good for good reading copy, which is really all that I'm really interested in. I can't afford the expensive ones. And here you see on the cover is Aquaman is being shrunk down. Said, "Help! I can't stop myself from shrinking into the world in the ring." As he shrinks and whoop into the ring. Well, we're not going to talk about that story. We'll take a little look at it. Nick Carty. At this time, he was doing a lot of covers for DC, and I think he had done some drawn Aquaman himself some in the 60s. I think, I'm not sure. If I remember correctly, and if I'm not thinking of somebody else, but I think it's Nick Carty. Well, he had done some, drew the Tarzan daily comic strip for a few months, sometime in the 60s, and he was an artist for quite a while on the Teen Titans in the 60s, and that's probably what he's best known for, aside from his covers. Okay, and then the interior artist is Jim Aparo. I talked about him before, too. He was from 1932 to 2005. And he's best known for his work at DC, especially on Batman titles. He's my favorite Batman artist. And he had been doing, at the time that he did this Aquaman, he was also doing the Phantom for Charlton Comics. And he also did Aquaman and the Spectre, started at Charlton, and he did a lot of sci-fi and horror, of course, on the Phantom, and they moved to DC with Dick Giordano in the late 60s. But as I said, he continued to work on the Phantom while doing Aquaman. They were both bi-monthly titles, and so that gave him constant work. So let's take a little look here. This starts right off. I'm not going to cover the story. There's the ring. One of the reasons I'm not doing this one is because it refers back to some previous story in which Aquaman was shrunk into the ring by accident. Here he's going on purpose because he wants to help some lady. Got some monsters. Looks almost like right out of Steve Ditko's Doctor Strange right there, and got some super intelligent aliens here and there enslaving people. Meanwhile, there's some sedition going on in his kingdom up in the full-sized world. Here's the young lady he's there to help, and she doesn't want to go. Here we got Aqualad and Aquagirl, Tula, and goes through a lot of combat. There's Aqualad. And comes back out. Well, he had to fight his way back out and come up. And then here he is. Aqualad's trying to tell him about this guy who's undermining Aquaman's kingly authority. And Aquaman doesn't want to hear anything about it. He's distracted by other stuff, and that says, "Next issue, The Creature That Devoured Detroit." Sounds like one of Lee and Kirby's monster comics. Here I want to show you this. This double-page spread. Well, two ads of sorts for Superman. Because a new year brings a new beginning for Superman, 1971. This is when they get rid of the kryptonite. That brief history. He starts work. And it says how he started working on the Daily Star, then the Daily Planet. Now he's working for Galaxy Broadcasting Systems, and all the changes that's going on then. But one of the reasons short is because it's some really nice work by Kurt Swan, and Kurt Swan is my favorite Superman artist. Here we go. The real story. Aquaman, computer trap. And Aquaman is returning from a mission to the surface, going through some old ruins from an old city. He usually goes around, but he's going through, and he senses something telepathic, and it leads him to this cave. And I really like the way Jim Aparo drew Aquaman, and really great expressions, facial expressions, good anatomy, good action. He's swimming through. He was good at presenting him as traveling through water. Goes into the cave, finds some kind of ancient supercomputer thing here, and it zaps his brain. Oh, something probing my mind. Must fight against it. I must. Computer trap. And then this thing kind of gives him a mental background on the city. It was a city in some ancient times. They're advanced civilization. Of course, they're obviously aquatic people. Built this computer to help organize everything, and then it really did. It basically took control of everybody, but it couldn't control people, the minds of the people under 30. So the children, the younger people. But once I got 30, oops, they were slapped with responsibility and had all this other stuff, and they had caused conflicts in the homes between the young people, caused a generation gap. And it's controlling these people, all the people, till eventually all the young people took off and left, and just left the old people who were being controlled until they all grew old and died away. And then the thing kind of shut down because there was no one left to control. It was damaged over time, and it was in the process of repairing itself when it attracted Aquaman. It's a pretty convincing, fictitious-looking type of supercomputer. It happened to give it a little face right there. And so here's Aquaman. He's fighting. He's resisting. But he telepathic commands, goes to an nearby electric eel, comes in, and the electric eel zaps the computer and shorts it out. Aquaman rushes away. It's a whole bunch of sea creatures, and they crash up against the rock wall, and causing a cave-in to crush and destroy that computer. Ooh, well, maybe. It's still kind of alive down there. And Aquaman said, "Oh, that's a relief. Now head on home, and I'll have to put out a warning for everyone to keep clear of these ruins. Now back to Atlantis." And this is a time when they would sometimes do a half page like this, so they could. So a lot of stories or chapters of stories ended on a half page, and then they had a half page ad like this. Now, one of the things I wanted to bring about the story is the social satire. Of course, at the time, the generation gap was a big thing, and they had some of the young people had the slogan, "Trust no one over 30." And this, had the hippies and the people protests in the colleges and all that stuff at that time. So this is kind of presenting that in the context of a story, of a science fiction story. And of course, Jim Aparo did faces. Looks almost like Archie. Great, as I said, great expressions, great dynamism, great panel-to-panel storytelling. I just like Jim Aparo. I loved his work on Aquaman, but especially I liked his work later on Batman. So that is about all I've got for this time around for Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas. And thank you for joining me. Ha ha! Thanks for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share it with any of your friends who also like Aquaman, or don't know much about the history of Aquaman, or don't know that he doesn't just talk to fish, or just happen to like aquatic stuff. Okay, and leave a comment. And remember, comics are art.